Hello and welcome to Wake and Jake, a very special edition because it is the first of 2026. Ow, where were you? I remember going on our 8th grade field trip, and we used to joke that the Marlins would win the World Series in 2023. Didn't happen. And now it's 3 years past that. So that and more memories to come. We're going to dive into the remaining free agency pool because did you know, kind of catch up. It's January 5th. Pitchers and catchers report in like 5.5 weeks. And by Fangraphs crowd-sourced results projections, 4 words that felt like word vomit, the 5 free agents that the people at Fangraphs thought would get the most money have still not signed. Kyle Tucker, Bichette, Alex Bregman, Framber Valdez, Cody Bellinger. The 6th person who did sign was Munetaka Murakami, who did not get the contract that a lot of people thought. I think those other guys still will, although I do think we've hit a weird area with Kyle Tucker. We could talk about that. That 7th guy was Dylan Cease. He's probably been the biggest winner of free agency so far.
I think that's very fair.
If he hadn't signed that contract, I think we'd all be like, oh, Dylan Cease might have a weird free agency. And it's like, no, he cleaned up. 7 years, 210. Good for him and good for Toronto, who, by the way, go check out what the Blue Jays are doing. That is what we talked about for a lot of talking baseball today, because after the Okamoto signing, they have some serious depth throughout that roster, the style of baseball they like to play. Versatile guys. They have pitching depth. Right now, Barrios is listed in their bullpen. He got 9 figures to play baseball. Good for Toronto. Happy New Year, Toronto. Let's be a little more peaceful. Let's figure this out until we actually play games against each other if the Yankees matter next year. Anyways, so yeah, dive into all of that with some of the rumors, some of the feel, tie that into the teams that are out there. Kind of the best free agents are still available in a way. You can kind of put together a team. There's 5 starting pitchers I like. We can talk about that. Usually a good Jake tweet. I put together the best free agent team.
I'm sure if you made it like free agents plus like trades that we've been told should happen, you probably get like a really good team.
That gets a little illegal. I could still, and maybe we'll do that live. Maybe we'll do that towards the end, or maybe the middle. Stay tuned because you'll have to listen to every minute. I want to hit everyone in the face for about 2.5 minutes, which if you know the way I talk, that'll probably be 10. I'm going to hit you with a little football. I think you guys know I've been out. I haven't been doing a ton of football on here. There's been either a lot of baseball or like I've just been missing weekends just for life. Got pretty consumed in football, and I want to highlight it. Maybe you're a baseball person that you're leaking into football. I don't know how many of those people are out there. Or maybe you're just always it feels like my relationships with sports are always evolving. Like NBA, I just have not been in this year. Kind of crazy. College basketball, not really. It feels like basketball hasn't started for me yet, although we're getting close because football is kind of ending. That, like, I don't know, if I go to watch sports tonight, it's hockey or basketball, right? So I guess that got a little personal. Put on the Rangers for the Winter Classic. Why not? Why not? Football had 2 of their biggest wins over the past week and over the past 24 hours. I guess I'll start with that one. If you watched Steelers-Ravens last night, you got an absolute gem for so many different reasons. And the whole secret of this, and it's part of our secret sauce, going back to the early Talking Yanks days when like we kind of were starting all of this, sports matter so much more when you know all the storylines. Like, sports is the best reality television. Like, again, the sports part of it is great, and I can watch so much sports, and I enjoy it. But when you know the storylines and everything attached, that's what makes it beautiful. That's when Brett Gardner was banging the top of the dugout, and it was like, wait, Brett Gardner? Isn't he like the quiet pest that other teams hate? But if you were in Yankee land, you knew he was like a vocal leader and like a chaos causer. That was pretty wild. And you watch it with any sports, or if you have a friend that plays sports, you're more tuned into that game. So I'm not saying the guys we're watching play sports or women They are not your friends. Although go Michaela Schifrin, go. Olympics coming up on it. Steelers-Ravens last night. It's arguably the best rivalry in the National Football League. Two teams that just have a history of defense and something about the regions and something about, I think when the Ravens kind of moved and they became this defensive-focused team, which is also the Steelers' identity, and the AFC North and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and Baltimore, there's a toughness that has leaked onto the field for these games that I think the AFC North, the hitting there is more. It just is. And that was kind of the scouting report going into the game. That was like, whatever team hits harder will win, which, okay. Then you have that moment where you start thinking about football and you're like, are we still there? Do we still want to be there? And in legal hitting terms, yes, we do. So we've got that winner take all game. That helps with any sport. And these two teams that have had a rivalry, have had a history of some of the best defensive teams, hard-hitting, all of it. Two of the longest tenured coaches in the NFL. I think the two longest, 18 and 19 years for Harbaugh and Tomlin. People wondering if the losing coach is getting fired. One of my friends made a joke that, again, this is a poke at football, but they were like, well, the first joke was, imagine if it was public that whoever loses this game gets fired. Crazy.
Like if it was pre-stated.
If it was just out there. Both teams put it out there. Whoever loses this game, they're out.
Both teams told the coaches, you lose this game.
That's reality TV. And in a way, that might be what happened. I think Harbaugh has a little more pressure than Tomlin. Let's see what happens there. One of my buddies escalated the joke. It's just a joke in the group chat. They said, yeah, what if they got fired and then they got executed in midfield? Whoa. Again, that's more medieval times. That's more medieval times. That was a joke. And that didn't happen. So that's good. It's good that we live in a society that doesn't happen. Anyways, so I got a little nervous before the game because the Steelers are limping. Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers, one of the most historic quarterbacks in league's history. I think they said he has 4 MVPs. Obviously has had a weird second half of his career, off the field, on the field. You remember he was a Jet? That Aaron Rodgers and Tomlin teamed up, which felt like this weird buddy cop from the start of like, hey, can we somehow make this work through a season? And they kind of have. They were in a game to win the AFC North at the end of the season. Rodgers can't move like he used to. The arm's still there, but he also doesn't throw downfield like ever. His advanced stats on that or not advanced stats are really bad. And it's so many passes to the running back or the tight end close that you're just like, man, he had one scramble attempt where for 15 years, Aaron Rodgers beats that defensive end, gets the first down, and they move the chains. His legs didn't have it. He's old. That was like a jarring moment. That could you be watching Aaron Rodgers' last game of his career? It's in Pittsburgh. The stadium was going nuts. Renegade going into the fourth quarter. Just a rabid fan base. The towels. One of the best fan bases in sports. So you've got all that going on with the Steelers. If you want to the defensive side, Cam Hayward's still out there, and he's one of the best nose tackles in the league. My God, I think PFF has him rated number 1. Go look at his rookie year and who he used to play with, how long he's been in the NFL and on the Steelers. And now he has a little brother who's on the team who's their tush-push quarterback because Rodgers is too old to do it. So again, when you start putting together all the story, TJ Watt is back for this game after having a collapsed lung. That was kind of done by the team. I don't have all the details on that, but he had surgery on his collapsed lung 3 weeks ago, did not play, came back for this game, ends up having a crazy TJ Watt interception that it ends up in his lap, but somehow TJ Watt has that stuff happen. That he's a historic NFL player following his big brother, who was a historic NFL player that neither of them were expected to be. So again, when you know kind of the stories involved, the Steelers had no options. Kenneth Gainwell, who used to be option number 8 for the Eagles, was kind of their go-to guy. Freiermuth, sure. Where's he on your tight end pantheon? DK Metcalf not in this game because he tried to punch a fan a couple weeks ago. So again, this is just one team over here. And Jalen Ramsey used to be the best corner in the league. He's playing safety. He almost lost them the game. Teaser. Again, this is a weird place to go, but as someone who's watched sports for years now, Asante Samuel Jr., I watched his dad play. Joey Porter Jr., I watched his dad play. That again, there is some beauty of sports. Adam Thielen's out here getting the least separation I've seen an NFL receiver get. Because he's old and he shouldn't be out there, but he's fighting father time. You're just going... Marquez Valdez-Scantling's just following Rodgers. Otherwise, I don't think he's on teams at this point of his career. So that's one side of the ball. On the other, the Ravens. I mentioned Harbaugh. There's another historic football family. Is this his last job? Or if the Ravens find a way into this playoffs, are they the most dangerous team in the AFC? All the Josh Allen talk? If these Ravens got in, wait, is Lamar back and healthy? He made 2 amazing Lamar plays after having kind of a weird game. Derrick Henry feels unstoppable, but it's just a weird match of the Ravens trying to get him the ball enough while the Steelers playing keep away. Zay Flowers seemingly always has a moment. Collinsworth on the call on that second Flowers one, he did it again before the pass got thrown. That all of that combined, Kyle Hamilton gets injured. That feels like it changes the whole course of the game. And somehow, some way, it gets back and forth late. These teams that couldn't score both get a few scores in the fourth quarter. It ends up on the foot of a rookie kicker, and just if you don't believe in pressure, believe in that. The kid was perfect. From the 40 to 49-yard range during the season. The kick that mattered, he didn't get it. In enemy territory with the season on the line that the Pittsburgh Steelers go on. And yeah, I don't think they have a lot of hope going forward, but they got Rodgers and Tomlin trying to piece it together however they can to just win one play, to win one quarter, to win one football game. And somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers won the AFC North, 10-7 with Rodgers and Tomlin. So credit to them. The product was amazing. I didn't know what was going to happen. It was the best reality TV show. It was my second favorite football game I watched over the break because the Ole Miss Georgia football game, college football, interesting relationship. I think all of us have an interesting relationship with college sports right now. None of us fully know how to process the NIL stuff. There's a part of it that's icky. I think there was a cornerback. I forget if they were on Georgia or Ole Miss. I think it was a cornerback on Ole Miss who had played on Auburn, Alabama, and Ole Miss in the past 3 years. And there's just the beauty of college football used to be you were just united to this brand. That he's 3 of the bigger SEC brands, he's attached to all of them, and he probably got paid $500,000 a year. And is he prioritizing education? Was he prioritizing the money? I'm not going to fault him for that. Is he getting away from girls or something? I don't know.
We're all new to all of it. But it's just there's something that feels weird about it, and I think college basketball has it worse that, getting familiar with your college basketball team, everyone's leaving, and the transfer portal's insane, and that's a whole storyline. And that's a part of this game. And Ole Miss lost their coach, the whole Lane Kiffin saga and LSU. And people kind of wrote them off because the 2 teams coming into this were Ohio State and Indiana that everyone just thought they were on a different level. Ohio State got knocked out. So Indiana's there, and by the way, they look amazing, and they're a made-for-TV movie. I mean, Cignetti is insane. That people are trying to compare it to anything ever, and they're struggling. The only comparison that came out that I heard people talking about and liking was Jim Calhoun making UConn basketball good again, which close to my heart. But yeah, the worst college football program ever is now a powerhouse and looking like they've got a really good chance to win it, although I think Oregon's going to be really tough. So now we have Ole Miss and Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs, who have been kind of powerhouse in college football. In college football, you have a famous head coach, Kirby Smart. He has helped create this Georgia program, came from Nick Saban. He's got an identifiable look. If you see Kirby Smart once, he's got an identifiable name. You kind of know who Kirby Smart is in the college football world. People are getting excited for the Georgia Bulldogs. They're like, yeah, they're getting better. Their defense is getting better. Their offense is a little clunky, but they also have the dudes you need to win in college football on the line, and every now and then you got a couple around the field. Now, where things get really fun. Georgia quarterback Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton, I think the text I sent to my buddies was, is he awesome, an idiot, or out of control? Gunnar Stockton was baiting linebackers to hit him so he could get more separation for his running backs in the flat. He was rolling out, baiting the linebacker to hit him harder to get a better lane for stuff you can never see in the NFL. Like, those guys will kill you. They said Gunnar Stockton doesn't like talk. These are the characters that you get in college football that you just don't get in the pros. That Gunnar was just giving it absolute hell on every play, whether it was running or throwing, and there was something just a little off about it that it was just delicious. And this Georgia team, like, they get the lead, and you're like, okay, these teams played earlier in the year. Ole Miss had a lead throughout the game. Georgia comes back. They have a big fourth quarter, and that's like this Georgia identity. Like, we're going to wear you out. We're going to Georgia you. We're going to get you in the fourth quarter. Georgia is the second, if not third best story going on in this game. Because like I mentioned, the Lane Kiffin thing. So Ole Miss is playing this team they lost to without their genius head coach that the state of Louisiana paid a ton of money for him to come in. By the way, Lane Kiffin wins. He has it in his contract that every game Ole Miss wins, he gets paid. He got paid $500,000 from the state of Louisiana for Ole Miss to win football games. Think about how insane that is. Anyways, so now you have Ole Miss, who they're trying to make their made-for-TV movie like Indiana and Signetti, that they're playing without a coach and all that saga that was hold over their head. Trinidad Chambliss got a fan in me that is probably the whole reason I'm doing this now and not the second half. Normally, I give you guys the baseball, I feed you the medicine, and then I leak some football to you at the end or whatever else is going on in the sports world. Sometimes you just see a human that you feel is special, and this kid is it. Transferred from Ferris State, wasn't super familiar, but apparently at that level of football, they are well known. But yeah, I think he was in the transfer portal. I forget the number. He was like quarterback number 241 in the transfer portal or something. Ends up at Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. And he's one of those guys that, like, the personality is just special. Like, you watch one interview with him and you're like, oh, okay. Like, you're kind of, you're a superhuman. You're just like good. You're a good person. Like, it just radiates off of him. But okay, at the end of the day, we care about football. Kid played a killer football season. Ole Miss is 13-1. Their one loss was to this Georgia Bulldog football team, and they blew a lead in the fourth quarter. They were a little outgunned. Their running back, Lacey, who is a stud and just fun to watch, he has a shoulder injury that he was wearing, like one of those things that keeps your shoulder in place that you're like, okay, you watch a football game and you think that's normal. Then you think about it. He's getting his shoulder hit a lot. He had 22 carries. He had a fumble while he was holding the ball in that arm that it's like, are they going to lose because he was playing through a shoulder injury and that was the one fumble? Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback, made 3 just like iconic college football plays that can only happen on the college level. Like scrambling back to his own goal line, just sprinting in reverse. He had one play where he just flicked the ball out to a guy that it looked like it was dead that turned into a bunch of yards. He was doing video game stuff that in a draft class that the quarterbacks, people are
unsure of. Dante Moore from Oregon, still in it, by the way, could have a moment coming up that ensures he's the one pick. He's playing against Mendoza. They could be the 1 and 2 picks in the draft. Look at sports rolling here in college football. I saw enough from Trinidad Chambliss. If you're a team looking for a quarterback, I think he's 6'1". There's a couple guys that have made that work in the NFL. The story, the work ethic, he ends up with 362 yards passing. Couple yards on the ground. I thought a little more. Leads Ole Miss to victory. They outscore them 20-10 in the fourth quarter. It was funny. They were down at 9 at halftime, and 9 points was the lead they blew to Georgia earlier in the season. So the coach was like, hey, the halftime speech was easy. By the way, not the coach. He is the coach now. He was the defensive coordinator, but now he's taken over. Joe Judge showed up. If you're in sports culture. And by the way, was getting crushed on the broadcast because they mismanaged the clock. And they were like, oh, this is Joe Judge running it, the former Giants quarterback. And it's like, damn, Joe Judge. Giants head coach, excuse me. If you really want to get into it, Charlie Weiss Jr. is calling plays. His dad, he used to be the head coach, NFL, Notre Dame. That the storylines of sports help carry it. And college football, which whatever chord this game hit, only college football can do. And it hit it so perfectly. And Kirby Smart after the game was like, this is what the college playoff was built for. He just lost. He does like representing the brand, but it was the back and forth and the potential on every play to be a disaster or a miracle or whatever it was. It was honestly two of my favorite football games I've watched this year. Two of my favorite. The Ole Miss Georgia football, I don't like watching sports replays of games. I know what happens. I don't know. That's kind of the reality TV part I was talking about, that I kind of like the not knowing. I think I might rewatch this Ole Miss Georgia football game, if not soon, maybe in a year. Maybe I'll make a reminder to myself. Because it was just what Georgia put on the football field that day was one of the most fun college football products you could see. And it kind of wasn't even in Ole Miss's ballpark because of the whole zoo they had going on over there, and Trinidad Chambliss making plays that very few dudes on a college football field have ever made, that you're like, how did he end up at Ferris State? How are we still not able to put this together for the most important position in the sport, where Trevor Plouffe's friend is probably going to win MVP? Insane. What is the world? So, as I told you, that was 2 minutes. Thank you for letting me let that off my chest. Let's talk a little top free agents in baseball, and it's brought to you by DraftKings. The DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every playoff moment feel bigger. DraftKings has your back with the early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you can still get paid in cash. Here's the best part. New customers, bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code JMBaseball. That's code JMBaseball. Turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. My final, I forget when I was texting my buddies about Ole Miss, Georgia. It was just like, okay, both quarterbacks are a fever dream. You don't know what's going to happen on either play. You got a famous you have a well-known coach at Georgia. You have Ole Miss that doesn't have a coach. And then at the same time, you're still getting some of the freak SEC athletes popping up that you're like, okay, that guy's clearly going to play on Sundays. Everything that I'm looking for, I got out of that game. Baseball. I could still yuck ball, folks. Don't, careful now. I mentioned the top 5 listed free agents by Fangraphs roster resource projections. So, I don't know. The 5 guys they thought were going to get the most money are still free agents. It is Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, Alex Bregman, Framber Valdez, Cody Bellinger. Ranger Suarez deserves an assist here. He just missed. That it's January 5th.
I was laughing. It said Orioles players report, I think February 11th. But if you're playing in the WBC, you have to report the 9th. So that's kind of funny.
Sure.
Why not? 2 days earlier. Either way, we've got guys reporting to camp little over a month. The top free agents are out there, which feels like the trade market hasn't gone. Imai and Okamoto signed. I guess, briefly I mentioned Okamoto with Toronto. They have what looks like a full team, and they're supposedly in on Bichette or Tucker. Who knows? Both, neither. Are they done? They're one of the few teams that could be done, and you'd be like, they're good to go. And they are one of the teams most rumored for the top 2 free agent hitters. Let's see with Okamoto. We were watching some highlights and we bought in, but you can do that with highlights with anyone. I bet if we watched his lowlights, we wouldn't have liked that.
Their best moments, particularly as a hitter, looked cool.
Even defensively, where, they say he's a corner infield, corner outfield. A lot of times those guys don't play any position well, or they do, and you're like, wow, that guy's awesome. And they also have Addison Barger, who was playing left field, third base, corner outfield last year. So seems like a guy that'll fit Toronto perfectly. He can also kind of blend in Toronto with their approach. And again, this is where I don't know MLB scouting well enough. MLB scouting doesn't know MLB scouting well enough. Remember when Ohtani was a high school level hitter? Okamoto, that people were like, yeah, they're not sure if he's going to have power at the major leagues. 36 straight 30-plus homer seasons. So, what are we... Again, I'm going to trust the scouts on that, but it also seems like there's some pop in there. One of the highlights we watched on Talking Baseball, he went to right center off of Roki. Okay. Seems like we can work with that. Let's see what else Toronto does the rest of the way. And Imai in Houston, just feels super low risk, especially for them. Imai, the opt-out contracts have worked for almost every dude, that he needs to have one good season in 3 seasons. Let's see. Let's find out. Wasn't as hyped, but also a lot of Japanese guys first time through the league, even going back to our guy Tanaka. His best year was his first year. If you've never seen a guy, that's it. So if Imai goes out there for 30 starts this year, gives Houston a 3-3, even if that's a good first half and a lesser second half, that's a very nice season, and I don't know if he's going to do that. But guys haven't seen him, and that's one of the toughest things. That, it could be 1 year done. He goes out and gets a bigger contract. Houston would be stoked. You just got a good starting pitcher for $18 million. If they go out, he comes back, or he has a rough year, you still have a starting pitcher. So Imai's covered via injury. It'll just be the performance. It is going to be an interesting test. I think as a baseball society, people don't know where we stand with Houston anymore. Do we still respect them as Houston? Did you know that Houston still won a lot of baseball games last year, even though they had a lot of injuries? Did you know Carlos Correa's on Houston? They have 6 good righty hitters in Yordan Alvarez, who's one of the best lefty hitters to ever play the game. Houston's probably going to be in the mix this year. Be interested to see if they get involved in any other major offseason transactions. But yeah, those were kind of the 2 big signings since we last yucked here. What do you got, Peeps?
This is, related. I didn't mean to interject with this, but I've just been spinning on how's the Imai deal work with the posting fee?
Ooh.
I was wondering if that came up on Talking Baseball at all.
No clue.
I pride myself usually on knowing that, and I don't.
It's out of sight, out of mind.
No matter what, I'm sure the Lions hate it because they thought he was getting $200 million, and he's getting a maximum of 63.
Yeah, and we haven't had the leaks yet of because our first line of questioning, who else offered? And was it the same offer? Did they offer more years? But
more
less
years,
AAV?
but that didn't have the opt-outs.
It was the second highest AAV given to a Japanese pitcher coming over, which that was a little surprising because $18 million.
Yeah, for what the number actually is,
what
it doesn't feel like it, and where pitchers end up these days.
What Montas get coming off an injury? Giolito coming off his worst season when he had it.
I know some teams weren't necessarily the most convinced that he'll be a high-level pitcher. They might be. Right. They might have been more interested in knowing where the number ended up.
That stuff hasn't really leaked yet. Yeah. I'm interested to see what goes on there. For the rest of the top free agents, Cody Bellinger. I shouldn't start with Cody, although maybe I do because I think Cody's holding up Kyle Tucker. I think teams are looking at Cody Bellinger as you can get 90% of the value of Kyle Tucker while paying half the price. That I think Cody Bellinger, the Yankees have just re-upped their offer. Supposedly it's the second official offer that they've posted. The Mets were originally in. I think, a lot of these teams overlap with Tucker too. The Blue Jays were supposedly. I don't know if they still are. The Dodgers are supposedly in on these guys. That Cody Bellinger, if I had to guess of the hitters, I think he has to go before Tucker. I think we're hitting the Kyle Tucker is kind of waiting the last guy to dance. I think we've hit a part where, yes, I do think he's going to be a higher AAV, shorter years. That I think the Dodgers are in play. I think the Blue Jays are still in play. That's kind of been the most linked team. And I always forget, the Mets need to go to work here.
They still need to do something additive.
Mets need to go. Yanks need to go.
And you and I will discuss this a lot on Talking Yanks tomorrow, but reading the tea leaves of things, it seems like Boris is finally talking for real with Belly, just given which people are tweeting that there's reports of new offer. That seems like we might be in the home stretch of this thing sooner rather than later, which a week ago there was nothing, which is just exciting.
And I think there still is, I know, Yamamoto, I shouldn't say Yamamoto excluded. If the Yankees still really want a guy, they still have a pretty good wallet, that they'll find a way to get it done. Cole, Judge, Rodon, the Yanks can still dance. They want Cody Bellinger. What I'm just interested purely as a Yankee fan, I think if Cody Bellinger doesn't sign with the Yankees, I think they're going to panic, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's via trade. I don't know if that's via free agency. And just a reminder, Cody Bellinger brings the Yankees back to where they were last year, which, again, it's funny looking at the offensive numbers on paper because they were the number one OPS, they were number one in homers, they were number one in runs. And the Yankees do have a lot of pitching that should be showing up by at least mid-season that maybe we should have more hype train, maybe we should have more logic, or maybe we shouldn't because we're Yankee fans. We haven't won in 16 years, second longest drought, or 15 going on 16, whatever the math is, not where I live. And Judge and Cole are getting older, so let's see what goes on there. Tucker, I already kind of leaked what I think. I think the Dodgers are players. I think that's where I started free agency. I kind of went away from it. It seemed like Toronto would be a really good fit, pairing him and Vlad. Hello, how's your lefty and righty for the next decade? And it's this whole Kyle Tucker exercise that, again, everything on paper would tell you $400 million player, and if he had the swag of insert who your swaggiest or favorite player is, would this already be done? Is there a marketability thing business-wise that maybe the money gets a little weird? I don't think so. I think when we're talking that level of production, you need the good baseball first, and then if everything else falls into place, you see. I don't know. Before Judge started being the best right-handed hitter, did he seem like the most marketable guy in the world? He's huge. That's cool. Sorry, Judge. You're my hero. That I think Belly and Tucker are going to be linked. I don't think you're going to hear more from Tucker until we figure out the Belly thing. And the Belly thing, it's going to be really interesting. Who has him? I think the Mets do really want him. The Mets need outfield and first base, and he does that at an incredible level. Does that turn into another Yankees-Mets bidding war? Will there be another team involved in that? That I think that's going to clear up the board with Tucker and the Mets probably throwing a lot of short-term money at Kyle Tucker. And I still think like 4 or 5 years probably with opt-out. So it's, maybe similar to the Bregman contract. Maybe that's where I should be looking with even a higher AAV for who Kyle Tucker has been as a player. It's starting to feel like that big long-term one isn't out there, and I don't know if that's Tucker. I don't know if that's the upcoming CBA coming up after next season, but it's not feeling right now. I guess the last hitter, it shouldn't be the last hitter because I do want to. I want to talk about the pitching. Bo Bichette's tied into all of this. Red Sox rumors, supposedly the Yankees reached out. Who knows if that's real? Originally Toronto and Bo, it was kind of like, hey, keep him and Vlad together. Let's build some statues and make a nice time out of it. I had Braves as a sneaky Bichette team before the year. Their roster's kind of set. The Orioles. There's a few teams that they could kind of be done with their offseason. Bichette still out there profiling as a second baseman, hits a ton. Who else? I forget if I just mentioned the Red Sox, but Red Sox, it's kind of rumored Bichette and Bregman. I think an interesting exercise is who would you rather have? Both kind of bring some different stuff to the table. It feels like Bichette has more hits in that bat. Bregman has his defensive position of third base, which feels a little more important. Bichette moving over to second, can he be like an elite second baseman? Because we've seen slightly lackluster shortstops become elite second baseman. That it's like, okay, if you could get both plus defense from them, again, it feels like Bichette's got more hits in there, although Bregman with the monster, we saw before his injury how good he looked. And then the other thing is Bregman's kind of a little bit more of a culture guy, and it's not a shot at Bichette, but all the stories we got about Bregman last year, and who he kind of was and was on his way to being before the scandal, and now it feels like he's past that, and he brought that to Boston this year. Although, I don't know, I think Trev and I were opposite. If you're the Red Sox and basically the contracts were the same, I would go Bichette over Bregman. You have Marcelo Meyer to play third base. And I just think Bichette at Fenway, you could be talking about 1 million hits. You could be talking about multiple batting titles, which, hey, Bregman's going to be good, and he's going to change your culture, and he's going to play great defense. That there's a reason why it's a conversation, and I don't think the contracts will be the same. And are the Red Sox in on that? Or where is their line? And then the Detroit Tigers have been linked to these two guys for a couple years. Are they actually going to put chips in for a year? Could that be a good way to salvage the Skubal situation? Like, hey, we're not going to pay $400 million for Tarek Skubal, but we did pay $180 for Bregman or Bichette or whoever it is. Or are the Tigers good? Go look at that Tigers lineup. I was a little surprised. A lot of WRC pluses over 100. A lot of guys that had like contributing WAR. That I never know what to do with those cats like that.
Wow.
Little wordplay. And then, of the other big teams who are going to get involved. And it's also like where the exercise starts getting silly. It's, there's a couple other teams that it's like, hey, we're in on Bichette or we're in on Bregman. And this was good to have Trev's brain run this way. He's like, if you're in on one, should you not be in on the other? If you're the Cubs, who have been linked to Alex Bregman as their third baseman, okay. If he signed somewhere else, would Bichette not be a fit? Put Bichette at second, and you can either trade Horner, keep Shaw at third. Like, you can figure that out. If you think you need a talented person of their level, if you're Toronto, I know they already have enough moving parts there that they could roll out a lineup today, but they are still rumored with Bichette. Okay, could Bregman not work there? And I think whoever else comes out of the woodwork, do the Dodgers, if they're not Tucker, are they Bichette? Are they still in this? Any of those middle those middle teams of, I mentioned the Cubbies. What do the Tigers have? Can the Astros pull something out of their butt? The Rangers, we've seen them give big contracts. Are the West Coast Padres, Giants, D-backs out of it? Like, what are the Mets going to do?
Who's getting Ketel Marte?
Does anyone have that? Is Ketel Marte getting traded?
Is he on the Red Sox and neither of those guys are?
The Phillies.
They're doing something.
Phillies have taken a step back from where they currently are in free agency. So that got into the teams a little bit there. Eugenio Suarez hit 50 dingers. You want him?
There's just been nothing there.
That's nice. Go back to Cincinnati. Why not? Bookend it.
Yeah.
The pitchers. I can give you a starting 5, and we can build our all free agent team to end it. Ranger Suarez and Framber Valdez, who, if this was backyard sports, you'd be like, okay, these guys kind of different versions of each other. Chris Bassett, I can get innings out of him. Why not? Who am I missing? Oh, Lucas Giolito I still like, especially if we're building, the all free agent rotation. So I've got Framber Ranger. I have Giolito. I feel like I'm missing Chris Bassett. I want him for a year as my 4.
He's on the team.
Verlander, Nick Martinez, Zach Littell. Verlander's the graphic name. I thought I had another starting pitcher. My 5 felt cleaner when I started the exercise. Ranger, Framber, Bassett. Giolito, I like a lot. Corbin, no. Oh, Zach Gallen. I would go Zach Gallen 5. That feels like a guy that could have an impact year for your team. We can make the rotation. Relief pitcher's actually really thin at this part. That I would keep them off the graphic if I was building one. Catcher JT Realmuto is out there, which normally when you're doing the all free agent team, you don't have a catcher, or you're really trying to piece it together.
Yeah, he's
there. He's there. Again, Phillies are missing Realmuto. They're missing Suarez. Interesting rest of the offseason for them. First base, I've got a few options. I've got Cody Bellinger can be your first baseman, which I think that might work out because I think we got Bader for the outfield if we need it. Luis Ariz, is he a first baseman? Let's put Belly at first for now and see what happens. Second base, Bo Bichette. He's a second baseman now. We think. Does that mean shortstop's going to be ugly? IKF? Willie Castro?
Would you rather Bichette, Arise, short second, or one of those guys at short, Bichette second?
I don't think Arise can play second.
Not
in
super
Major
well.
League Baseball anymore. I think for the graphic, it's IKF. Oh, okay. Never mind. We're going to put Bichette at short because, hey, that's not our decision to make. He's played shortstop.
So far.
Bregman at second.
Yes.
Remember, that's where the Red Sox signed him. That whole Devers thing. And then you put Eugenio Suarez at third. So, okay, around the horn, Belly, Bregman, Bichette, Gino. I can win games with that. In the outfield, Kyle Tucker. That's good. Kyle Tucker, I think from there we put Bader in center for now. And then your last outfielder. Okay, so the last outfielder is going to be versus a first baseman. So it's either moving Belly back to the outfield. We've got Tauchman, Hayes, Andujar, Starling Marte, Max Kepler. I think we put Arise at first base. That's more fun, right?
That's some more fun thing.
You can just get a casual batting title. Yeah, I think I want to do that.
Nobody else jumps out on the page I'm looking at.
DJ LeMahieu. Yeah, so let's go Arise at first. Cody, Tucker, and Bader in the outfield. That's pretty nice. That's a good team. Do we need a DH?
There's a lot of DHs here.
I thought there was one more. I thought there was one more hitter. Oh, I like Marcell Ozuna.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think Marcell.
Yeah, I was about to throw Rhys Hoskins out there because I'm looking at him, but Ozuna's the one.
Yeah. Give me Marcell Ozuna. So, yeah, you can still put together a pretty good lineup with the all free agent remaining team. And normally by this part of year, you cannot. So, I don't know. Again, I keep thinking that there's going to be a juicy segment. I guess the weird thing is it's the whole baseball free agency conversation. There's no timeline right now. There's no, the next timeline is reporting to spring training. So, hey, hopefully we get a steady dose of news and signings and transactions and rumors, and all of this is before trade. And I feel like I've given this speech too many times, although it's been a little bit for Wake and Jake. Thank you guys for taking a little break, but now we're back, baby. Twice a week, we'll get you some jolly, we'll get you some foolish, maybe we'll get you some other friends.
Sneaky. I gotta count out some weeks, but sneaky tier list season coming.
Starts coming up, man. And we got WBC stuff and not really Olympics, but I don't know. We'll watch the stuff everyone else watches, I guess.
There will be some Olympics conversation here.
Just how it happens, right? Excited to get into the rest of it with you guys. I appreciate you so much. It was a good Wake and Jake year last year. Let's have another good one this year. Subscribe, share with friends, all of the good stuff. And we will be back Wednesday, worst case scenario. Appreciate you guys.
Love.